but I can't top Eli. He has a completely sick mind, and all the stuff that I was like, oh my god, I can't, I can't one up you on this. This is too gross.
Welcome to a very special episode of Regal Prop Shop. We're going to be talking with Academy Award-winning special effects and makeup artist Adrien Morot about his new holiday horror film, Thanksgiving. Before we dive into the interview, I need to cover a few warnings. First, this interview includes photos, videos, and discussions about props and effects from Thanksgiving. And while we mainly stick to characters and events from the trailer, there will be some plot and character spoilers. If you want a spoiler-free movie experience, please see the movie first, then come back and watch this video for more information about how the artist made movie magic happen. Secondly, this interview includes photos, videos, and discussions about props and effects from the horror movie Thanksgiving. These props are incredibly realistic and depict replicated violence and body damage, including severed body parts, blood, and burns. This content may be too intense for some viewers, so discretion is advised. Without further ado, here is a special look at these amazing props and the industry master that created them.
Hi, my name is Adrien Morot, and I'm the makeup effects and prosthetic designer for the movie Thanksgiving.
You've worked on a massively long list of projects, ranging from Vice, Warcraft, Pet Sematary, X-Men movies, and most recently, obviously, your Academy Award for The Whale. Can you tell us what gets you excited about this particular part of filmmaking?
It's simply the best job ever. Because if you're an artist, it's you get to do so many things, and like you've mentioned there, like my career, I've been blessed with being offered like a series of projects that ranges from character makeup to super gory stuff like Thanksgiving, and that's what keeps it fresh. And most of the time, like you get to do from design from reading the script to doing the budget to doing the initial designs to meeting with directors to sculpting to painting to go on set and do all this stuff. There's so many things that comes into the process that it's not stagnant in any way. So that's what keeps it fresh. And it's super exciting when you get to build relationships with people like Eli, that every time that he calls, he's like, dude, I have like this idea for this project. Like, how about this and this and this? Like, it's super exciting. Like, I'm eager to go to work every morning. There's not one morning where I'm not like, oh my God, I'm the luckiest guy alive.
Well, we have some props here from Thanksgiving that you guys sent us, and I don't know if the camera can do justice to how awesome these things are. We've got Manny and Lizzie, and I have Kathleen off screen. These are physical props from the film. Can you walk us through the process of how you'd build something like this that not only has to look photorealistic, but also has to match what the actual live actors look like?
I think that what most shops do still to this day, and what was done and what we've done like at my shop up until just before we did the movie The Whale, we used to have the actors come into the shop. We would meet with them, would do a series of pictures, and then the first step of all of this was to do a live cast, which means covering the actors with a dental material called alginate, the same stuff that you use to do a dental cast. And you would cover them with that. It would take like very fine impression, but there's a bunch of inconvenience with that method, such as like there's added weight to the face. You can't do it with the eyes open. I've tried it. It's very painful. Don't try it at home. And plus, if the actor is claustrophobic in any way, it makes the process like a real nightmare for everybody involved. So just before The Whale, we started like experimenting a lot with digital imagery and 3D scans. And in the past 4 years, that's all that we've been doing. Like, so the actors in this case for Thanksgiving came to our facility, and then we did all 3D scans, full body scans of their face. And the thing that's great with that process is that because it takes like a few seconds to do like a full scan, we're able to do different expressions and try out different things where like if you're doing a live cast, it really takes like doing the head takes like 40 minutes just for one expression. So you can't like you have your talent coming in the shop, he's going to be there. Like they're often like on a tight schedule, so you need to do things really quickly. You only have one shot. With this, we're able to do like a bunch of different expressions. Like Lizzie, we've done like we've tried different heads, like different kind of expressions that she was doing. Like some were really funny actually, and then we have like a 3D image. Then I go on the computer and I clean that up. I clean all the little noise and weirdness that might be. I might be able to tweak the expression if that's something that we want to do. And then often like another advantage that this technique offers is that I can then go and send images to Eli. So like, oh, what about like those different facial expressions? And you can be like, oh, you know what? I like the head position in number one, but I'd like to go with expression number five. And then you can do a merge of the two. And once you have that, and everybody's happy with the look of and the expression is going to match exactly what the action is going to be in the movie, then we go on and 3D print everything. So we 3D print the heads, we 3D print the body, we 3D print the hands, everything that we need that's going to be part of the effects on set.
So you 3D print the positive and the negatives, right? So you 3D print the molds you're going to make the runs with.
That's right. We 3D print the molds from that. So we create like a negative space into like just like as if we were doing like a physical mold, but it's all like done on the computer. Then we 3D print that, and then we're able to run our props like silicone straight into our molds. And then we have like sort of a like if you clench your fist like this and you look at your knuckles, that kind of like pale yellowish color that you have on the knuckles, we run all the pieces with that color. So it's kind of like a neutral base tone. And then you take those pieces and you start with an airbrush. You slowly, with reference pictures and swatches of skin tones that you've matched to the actor when they came sitting down in the shop. Then you match every capillaries, every kind of blemishes that they have, like with an airbrush. And once you have something that's pretty good, then the head goes to a different department that's going to be punching all the hairs in one by one. So like Manny in this case has like a beard stubble. So even if you don't really see it, because it's pretty close shave, but still like you have a little bit of a growth.
And nose hair.
Very true. Yeah.
I mean, the attention to detail is absolutely amazing. I mean, seeing it up close, it's staggering. And you're right. Like all that hair punching, like it pays off. Like it's amazingly realistic.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then while that's being done, very often, like I often do a lot of the finishing job myself in the shop. So while that's being done, if I have time, then I'm there painting the eyes. I'm doing the eyes, like all the striations, all that stuff in acrylic. Once the hair is done, then I can actually, by that time, it's ready to plop the eyes in. And then I do some finishing tones and look if everything works. In parallel to all of that, that's the advantage of also working in 3D, is that you can do a bunch of different steps, which we weren't able to do before. So if somebody was working on a sculpture, you couldn't really work on it because you didn't have the proportions of what the piece was going to be until you have the mold. So everything was sort of like sequential. So you would have like step one, step two. Like in the computer, you can actually do everything in parallel. So people are working on the actual gag that's needed. So if somebody's getting his head chopped off, somebody's getting chopped in two, everything is being done at the same time by different departments in the shop. It's amazing. It's such a time saver, and it makes not only the work more streamlined, more effective, but I think that the end results and the quality of the product is also multiplied by 100.
Do you find that the 3D printed molds actually hold up as well as the conventional molds you'd use? Because it's a different material, right?
If it holds up in terms of duration or in terms of...
Are you getting as many pulls out of those?
Yeah. Well, okay. like most of the time, like when you're doing any sort of molds like that for a movie, the reality is that you're really going to be doing one or two pulls. Like if you're doing a fake head like that, you're going to do, like, let's say top 5 pulls. Let's say one to do tests in the shop and stuff. So it's not an enormous amount of pulls you're going to do out of the mold. If you want to do more than that, like for example, like on Megan, what we ended up doing was reinforcing the molds with epoxy resin and fiberglass. just to make sure
Gotcha.
that, because the material is still a little bit brittle, but if you just use it as a sort of surface coat and the back is reinforced with fiberglass, we were able to do the duration. Like for Megan, we did like dozens of castings out of those molds, and it worked great.
Fascinated by that process. It's so new, and it's fascinating. So collaboration's a key component of all of this. So how much interaction do you have with Eli through the whole process of creating, both him relaying what's going to happen to the characters and then you creating the looks of those?
Collaboration is essential here. Like, and this is my third or fourth project with Eli. So we became friends throughout the years. The second that he had a script ready, we actually went out for lunch and we talked about all the gags that needed to be done for the movie, and we were throwing ideas. Oh, we could do this and this and that, but I can't top Eli. He has a completely sick mind, and all the stuff that I was like, oh my god, I can't, I can't one up you on this. This is too gross. When we did all the different casts for, or all the different scans for the actor, like there's not one option of a scan that we have done that I wasn't calling him on Zoom, say like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? How about we try this? So, and all the way through, like I send him pictures almost daily of the progress going on in the shop so that there's no surprises once we get on set with those gags.
That's awesome. So I've got Kathleen. So I have her.
She looks tasty.
Yeah, she looks well done. So I assume that you also worked on prosthetics for the actress to wear as well.
In this case, for Kathleen, we like the prop was sculpted like that in the computer.
But when you are working with actors and putting prosthetics on them, as opposed to doing a prop like this, is there a difference in approach?
The process is similar, same thing. Again, really groundbreaking stuff. Like I know that we were up to 3 years ago when we did The Whale. We were the only ones who had ever done that. And I think that since The Whale came out, like, and now the entire industry is trying to catch up to what we're doing, but they're far behind. I'm not worried yet. But prosthetic making it's an additive process. So you can't take away. So if you want to have like something like a big gash in the neck, for example, you can't really go and dig into the actor's neck. So you need to add up a certain volume to the neck so that, and do it in a subtle enough or clever way that the sculpture is going to be done, so that you can go and dig out from the sculpture that's added to the neck, and then that's going to give the impression of depth in the neck. So it's always that kind of process. So when you're designing any sort of prosthetic that's going to fit on the actor, it's a bit different because it's more of a optical illusion, if you will. So if the person is thinner or has been cooked out, for example, like Kathleen, like you would need, like she would be gaunt. So that would mean that you would need to puff her up a little bit before you can go and carve out from the cheeks and stuff like that. So you always have to keep that in mind. Then it's the same kind of thing. Like you do the sculptures, then you create a positive that you print out, you create a negative that you print out, the two fits together, and whatever that empty space that's in between, which was a sculpture, is injected with silicone. And once you open up your mold, you remove the positive from the negative shell. If you've done your job properly, then all the edges are so thin, they're like a butterfly wings, that once they're glued into the skin, they just blend perfectly into the actor's skin. And once you put a little bit of makeup and conceal it, it just conceals and blends everything perfectly together. And it looks like it belongs to the actor's face or whatever body part you're doing.
Can you think of any example on this particular project where you tried something that didn't work?
All the time.
I think those are the best stories. So,
well, you know, like example, like Lizzie, she, like, even a simple thing as that, like, as like her face is being pushed against like a freezer door, and the wetness of the skin, the humidity in the skin, like makes it stick to that sub-zero metal surface, and it sticks just like a tongue would do. And then she pulls away. She tries to push herself with her hands, and the entire skin pulls off. And same thing in the palm of her hands. And that might sound like, okay, well, just put a little bit of blood and stuff like that. it's a very interesting process because you're dealing not only with what would happen in reality, but it's also like trying to put into image what people think something like that would look like. We have our noses in forensic pathology books all the time just to make sure that what we're doing is accurate.
Right.
And very often when you're looking at real stuff, as morbid as it is, it doesn't look real, or it doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like in the movie world. So it's finding that right balance between what looks real and what will the audience accept as something that's gross. So like for Lizzie, it's finding that right balance again. It's finding what's going to stretch enough. So because skin really like doesn't stretch like a piece of rubber. So you know that you need that you know that your camera needs to be able to see it. So it needs to be pulling away enough from the surface of the metal so that you'll see something. You'll see a little bit of pull, but it's finding the right balance. Like, okay, how much pull is what we want before the skin tears? Or like if it pulls like even like a quarter of an inch too far, then it looks comical and not believable. So
Right.
so for something as simple as that effect, you're like, okay, well, you read it on the page of the script, and you're like, okay, Lizzie, okay, she pushes the thing. Um, you're like, okay, well, that's gonna take. You budget that, okay, it's gonna take in 2 days, it's gonna be done. Then 2 weeks later, you're still sending tests daily to Eli, to and we're still not. Nobody's still satisfied with the thing. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna be bankrupt with that one effect. This is the end of my career.
So is it the mixture or the thickness of the material that you had to adjust to get that to work?
Thickness of material, how stretchy it is, how much blood is underneath, what is it going to stick to? Like, because it needs to look like a clean metal sheet before she pushes herself into it. So what's going to make it bond? What do we want underneath once she pulls away? Is it bloody? Do we want to have blood? If it's only red, does it look like we're not going to understand what it is? Or we want to have sort of like a yellowish subdermal surface that blood will slowly seep through. How much can we show? How much time do we have to make the audience understand what's going on, kind of thing? That all comes into play, and it's all like once you find the technique that you're going to use to do the gag that everybody seems to be happy with, it's really like fine tuning for days on end until you find the right recipe for both the skin, the blood coming through, the adhesion on the metal. So, and that's just for one gag, and we have like tons in this movie.
What would you say is one of the things you're proudest about out of this particular project? Was there something that you're like, that I'm super, super happy with?
I'm the wrong person for that because I'm always like, oh, I wish, I wish I would. If I could redo it, I would redo this thing a little bit better, kind of thing. Well, one thing that I'm happy with is that I think that the likenesses of the actors, like from all those fake heads that we have done, I think is pretty successful. One of the things that's always like a killer and for makeup effects and like that you like, I'm an avid reader of Fangoria magazine since I was a kid, and you always see that like and I don't know why makeup effects artists always have the urge to do something like that. They create these fake heads for like or replicas of actors for the movies that they're working on, and the heads look pretty good. They look pretty good when you have like a standalone picture, and then they always do the same thing where they're going to be taking the fake head and putting it right next to the actor, and then there's a nice picture of the makeup artist, the actor, and the fake head, and the fake head always looks like complete garbage every time because it looks good as a standalone thing next to the actor. Then you have direct comparison, and you can see,
right,
oh, the color of the eye is not right, the shape of the eye is not right, the cast was a bit distorted, the skin color is not quite right there, oh, the hairline's too high, too low. All of those things makes it that looks good next to the actor is like, okay, well, that's clearly a fake head. In this case, sadly, much to my horror, I saw like they were like the photographer was like, oh, take pictures with the actor. Same thing. And when I was looking at the pictures side by side with the actor, you couldn't tell which one was which.
I've seen Tim. So when I saw Manny, I was like, I know that actor. Like immediately, like it was shocking. It was shocking.
Oh, great.
So it was great job. Great job. Is there any other surprises or prop related stuff from the movie that you can share?
To me, like one of the things, like everybody has seen, anybody that's fan of the genre, I've seen the trailer from the Grindhouse movies. So I was so excited to work on this movie, and all those gags that you see in the trailer that Eli has done back then are in the movie.
Oh, that's so cool.
And like down to obviously the famous dinner scene, everything is there, and I was really thrilled to be part of movie history in that way.
That's really cool. Well, thank you so much for, one, sending these so we could take a look at them and admire them, and two, getting on with us and talking us through them, because this is absolutely amazing work.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
We're so thankful to Adrien and Sony Pictures for letting us see these stunning props up close and personal. You'll get to see each one of these on the big screen when Thanksgiving debuts at Regal Theaters November 17th. Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you at the movies.